Mary, thank you so much for coming over yet again.
I always love being here, and today especially because of that letter we got on the weekend. So thank you all for listening to us, and we get letters and emails from actually all over the world, which is so exciting, and we love hearing from you. On Sunday, we received an email from a woman that I can't stop thinking about. Actually, her words were so vivid about how she was feeling about the issues that she's going through that we decided to get together today and talk about some of the things she shared with us.
Because it is a real issue. I'm sure, I know it's happened to me.
Mm-hmm,
And
me too.
I'm sure it's probably a lot more common. But one great thing is the lady had awareness that there's a bit of an issue.
Yeah, for sure. And she was able to reach out, which we always love. So this woman is dealing with her teenage daughter. And she was telling us about some of the things that the teenage daughter is doing is odd and concerning and strange, like teenagers do. But even more so, we have a cat that's helping us on our podcast today. And she's feeling desperate. She's feeling like she's tried to get her daughter some help. She's tried to understand where her daughter's coming from. She's tried all kinds of things, and she feels like the daughter is on this train and it's going to crash up against a wall. And she's trying to save her daughter for this terrible thing that's going to happen. And she sounded so desperate and so hopeless and not knowing where to turn. And that's usually the kind of people you get anyway, that people are really desperate. And she sounded so afraid and alone. And so I just want her to know that she's not alone, that many of us as mothers have felt this way about our children. But I think it's important enough that we have to talk about it today. And what, from your perspective, Brenda, like what is going on?
Sometimes we have great reason to be concerned about our children. And we've done lots of podcasts about that.
Yeah.
Right? But sometimes I get parents saying something's wrong with my child. And I'll work with their child. And the child's not the issue.
Yeah, because you checked in. So Brenda checked in with this child to see what was going on so that she could see it from an energetic level, right?
Yeah. And then the child seems like a normal teenager, nothing presenting. And then what I kind of got a download on is it's not the child, it's the parent, the mother, whose trauma programming is not allowing her to see the magnificence of that child.
Okay, stop right there. Because I think that's like a pause moment where we have to take that in. Because that's huge. So when Brenda told me she checked in with the child and that the child was fine, I was in shock. I'm like, there's no way that child can be fine. Did you hear what that mother put in that email? Like, that child does not sound okay.
The child's okay. But the mother's trauma, the mother's programming is transferring on to what she's seeing her daughter. Now, teenagers are teenagers. They're not always the easiest to get along with. They are independent. They have their own guidance system and they know what they want to do. Now, if I'm a child and I'm wanting to do certain things and I have somebody watching me all the time saying, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, because that's their programming, their demands of what society wants, that child is going to respond, not even meaning to, negatively when that parent is there in that presence, because it almost triggers a response from both of them.
So basically, the kid wants to do something, the mother doesn't, and the kid rebels.
Yes, and then it becomes this pattern of behavior. So what was interesting in this email that came through was that apparently this child is great in the eyes of teachers.
Yes.
Great in the eyes of other family members and friends when the mother is not around. Now, this mother, we already spoke to this mother, so she's not going to be shocked by this. She's the problem. Now, I didn't say that, like, you're the problem. I tried to let her see, like, when you're hearing this about your child that they're doing great, and why is it when you're there, you're seeing the child look like a brat or an embarrassment, or you're in your own angst about it all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So first off, we need to take a deep breath to reset when we're in those situations.
Mm-hmm.
What is it in me that's getting triggered by this child? Now, usually it's, if you grew up like me, there's a certain way. A girl's got to wear a dress at a certain, they have to sit proper, they have to do this, or people are going to talk, and then it's going to look bad on the parent. And some gatherings are more important than others, and some cultures are more stricter than others. But these children, if they're less than 20 years old, they have different genetics.
Mm-hmm.
They already know who they are. They're ready for the new earth, and they don't buy into the expectations of society. Now, we're the parent, we're older, we have these expectations, these programmings, and our child is not conforming. We're going to look bad. We're going to be, spoken to from our parents or our peers. Your daughter did this, your child did this, your son did that. So we're putting our expectations and programs onto a child who has more free will. They have their own life timelines and destiny and things to follow.
Mm-hmm.
So they're feeling constrained by that concept that they act. It's almost like you're forcing your child to act like a brat in your behavior, in your presence, especially when it matters the most.
Yeah.
People are watching, so now my angst goes up as a parent, and I'm staring at my daughter who's being a pain in the butt. And then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger to the point where the mother's not enjoying herself, the kid's not enjoying, they might as well just go home.
Well, and then the problems get bigger and bigger. Like, so with this email in particular, like, they've got some really big stuff happening, and they've already been to the doctor. So, if you're worried about your son or daughter, it's important to check it out with medical professionals and psychology, and do what you need to do in the traditional way as well, right, to learn what's going on with your child. But I just think I was in shock after Brenda talked to me and said, like, no, it's not the kid. I'm like, what do you mean it's not the kid? Look at what they're doing. And she's like, yeah, no, the mother is bringing all of this stuff with her. And I thought, that's an interesting perspective.
Well, it's not, every case is different. Sometimes they'll say, my child's possessed. And
sometimes they are.
Sometimes they are.
Yeah.
But a lot of times when we're brought children to us and we work with them, and we say we get rid of the issue there.
Yeah.
The child is now being who they are and everything's good. Sometimes the memory, the trauma of what the child went through gets triggered in the parent, and they're expecting the child to have their own, like that same, and then it goes back and it almost pulls that child back to that bad behavior. So one quick thing that's so easy to do when you see yourself in this cycle of, oh, I'm expecting my child to be this way, start with something as simple as, my child is happy, healthy, thriving, and has direction. Let go of the angst and the expectations that they're going to fail, because you create your own reality. You can actually create that for your child. Now, then parents will be like, oh my God, you mean I'm the issue? It's almost like we're feeding our children poison without even knowing it. And no parent would ever do that. But when you start to put your belief systems, your traumas onto your child, that's what we're doing. We're feeding them things that aren't good for them. These are beautiful beings of light. They came in with their own experiences to experience, their own life.
Their own journey.
Allow them to be who they are. And when you start to loosen the grip, you're going to see that child is going to, one, respect you more, feel more at ease to be themselves, and they'll conform in a way that's best for them, but it's not as extreme as what this lady's going through. It's getting out of hand. It's like, you're feeding each other and it's getting worse and worse and worse. It's getting worse to bring it to your attention. Dear mother, you're the problem. And you yourself needs trauma healing, letting go of old beliefs, and letting go of that program.
So is this mother willing to work with you?
This mother is working with me.
Oh, that's
so
great.
She's a blessing. I did speak with her, and she was easy to get through to.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason she was so easy to engage with is she's done everything with the daughter, and she never really thought I'm the issue. So
Mm-hmm.
when it's stated in a gentle way,
Mm-hmm.
when I spoke to her, she had tears. Now, I don't get upset when I see someone having tears, because what those tears are breaking the resistance, breaking the negative beliefs, and then looking within and saying, oh, I'm the problem. And how sad is that when we realize we're causing the child's issues? I was on the same track with my daughter, being from a split up. You over nurture, you over this. I was creating, I'm going to say, a girl that didn't want to grow up, wanted to be my baby, and kind of bratty.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't until it was brought to my attention. It's like, when you're in it, you're in it.
Yes.
Saying,
It's
what
hard to
you're
look.
doing is actually harming your child. You need to set boundaries. You need to heal, because you've gone through trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, wow. So a lot of us look back at our childhood. What did we go through?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we go the opposite way and over nurture and always in their face because we didn't have that. But it's not necessarily the best thing.
Yeah.
So it's about healing at all levels and being open to knowing maybe it's not my child. Perhaps it's me.
Well, we're so programmed to think that children are problems in our society. And, you hear, all you have to do is turn on the TV and hear about how, awful youth is and young people are. I've never looked at it that way. I think young people are amazing, and I have always seen their strengths before I've seen anything else. And so I really appreciate that. I think it's time for all of us to look within.
Yeah, like Mary's so good at this. This is her passion. I love children as well. I love their uniqueness and all that. But, I think you should put together a talk for parents that are dealing with these issues with children, because a lot of it comes from them, and you can speak to them in a way that's not spiritual. It's just matter of fact. You need to wake up parents and realize that perhaps you're the problem. There's so many examples here, but let's just say a child went through a hard time in their life, right? Perhaps they had an addiction to marijuana. Let's just use something light. And then the child, grew out of it, started moving into better things. But as a parent who saw their child smoking too much marijuana, anything that they might be doing secretively, like maybe they got a boyfriend, or maybe they're going out, or maybe they're giving a surprise party for the mom. The mom's like, oh, that's secretive. It must be marijuana. But it's not even close to that, right? It's because it's the mother's trauma. It's the cellular memory saying, they can't let it go.
It's such an important message, and we wouldn't have been able to talk about it if it wasn't for that mother who had the courage to email us her story. So I guess I want to say thank you to her, and I want to encourage you all, if you're sitting there listening to us and you have a question, please send it over to www.sobrilliant.ca. We want to hear from you, because your questions are what make us strong, and you make us better. So please send us your questions. Thank you, Brenda.
Perfect. All right, thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
If you have any questions or comments, visit us at sobrilliant.ca.
Sending you lots of love and light. Until next time.